Welcome to the Nifty Nuggets weekly news and reviews podcast show. In this week's episode, we'll be discussing, is it the end of crypto and NFTs as Luna tanks? Bitcoin maxi Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, is that under attack too? And the great big learning experience known as Azuki. But before we jump into the fryer, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification, smash the like button, and leave a comment below. Make sure you include the secret password, which will be revealed at the end of the show, for your chance to win an invite into the Nifty Nuggets server. You can also find us in Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at NuggetsNifty, and make sure you leave those 5-star reviews. Also, remember, anything you hear in this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. Now, let's get on with the show.
Nuggets Network.
Hello and welcome to Nugsville. Joining me this week is Channing. I'm not sure if he's going to be as fired up this week as he was last week, because I know he's got quite a bit of a bag of Terra Luna. But Channing, are
yes,
you
I do.
there? I hope you're not
Yes,
crying
I'm
too
alright.
much.
Yes, all right. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Channing, I hope you're not crying because you lost a big bag of Luna.
Yeah, I did. And I just found a job in the local McDonald's store. The customers are so rude.
Well, whatever happened to not investing more than you can afford to lose?
Well, I I thought I could 10x so much easier that I can finally feed my family, my kids, with my life savings. But I sold my car and loaned my house to invest it in the crypto space. So bad.
Well, what can we say to that? Always make sure you manage your risks, folks. Manage your risks. Now, I know Channing did have a big bag in Luna. Not as big as, well, it's not as devastating as he's making out. This is in jest. He hasn't had to find another job in McDonald's. At least I hope not. But Channing, do you want to dive into the bloody markets at the moment for us?
Mark, can we just talk about Terra Luna for this episode?
Yeah, don't worry. That's going to make up a large chunk of the episode. But, you know, business as usual. We got to go through the market overview, I suppose. And to rub salt into the wounds, I suspect we won't be seeing Luna in the top 10 coins when we have a look.
Yeah, that's right. The market cap of this week is around, actually it just jumped back 13.5%, as we can see on my screen right now, which is 1.3 trillion. Yesterday was a lot worse, and the 24 hours volume is, well, I don't even know how much is it, like, is it good or not? It's just too much happening. The market dominance of the Bitcoin and Ethereum is a lot up, as we have talked about this for a number of episodes already. If the Bitcoin dominance is increasing, that means the investors are not as bullish on the altcoins, as they think the Bitcoin would be a better wealth preservative investment. Therefore, we can see the Bitcoin dominance is at 42.4, which is a local highest I have ever seen for a long time. Ethereum is at 18.6, which is pretty high as well. So let's have a look at the general market. And so Bitcoin is around 30,000 right now, and Ethereum just around 2,000. We all know yesterday that Bitcoin went down to as low as 28,000 or even lower, and Ethereum was at the bottom of 2,200 as well, which was pretty critical for these two at the local bottoms, because if they break, a lot more things are going to happen. And let's have a look at the top 10 coins. And last week we talked about there are 4 stable coins in the top 11, but right now we can only see 3 because Tether, USDC, and BUSD. We don't see UST anymore, and not Luna anymore. Just gone. Oh, let's have a look at the UST. Where's UST right now? I can't find it anymore. Actually, I have to use the Control+F to find UST at this stage. So UST, wow, the market cap is ranked at 43, and which is, surprising to see a stable coin, which is supposedly to be $1, is at 13.9 cents, which does not make sense to me.
That's madness.
That's madness. Hang on a second. Let's see Luna. I can't even find Luna in the top 100 anymore. Let's do the search button and then see where Luna is right now. Holy moly. Luna, Terra Luna, not even a month ago, a week ago, was the top 10 coin.
Yeah.
And right now the market cap is ranked number 1072.
Wow.
Is this real life?
Wow.
Oh
that
my god. Okay, have a look at the Terra Luna's price. It is 0.000029. I believe the price is even lower than Shiba Inu coin right now. Is it? If it is not a lot lower, it's just similar. And merely 1 month ago. Can we just keep talking about Luna instead of talking about other things, by the way?
Well, to be fair, we will be talking about that or doing a deep dive into that pretty shortly.
All right. So Luna's all-time high is only a month ago, on the 5th of April, 2022, $120. And apparently we're 100% down, which means that I lost all of my life savings. And let's have a look at the crypto fear and greed index. Of course, it's around 10. It's extreme fear. People are scared. People are panicking. They're selling everything. And, that has a lot of things to do with the general market as well. Last week, we talked about the interest rate, which was increased by another 0.5%. And because we have a 40-year all-time high for the CPI numbers. And the CPI number has just updated, and the number is 8.3, and that is more than 8.1, which was estimated, and that's near the highest level in more than 40 years. That is not looking good. And then so
how
interest
did that
rate
affect,
is
how do you think that affected the reactions in the markets?
right. It's actually, I think there's 2 ways to look at it, because people who are investing in the financial market, generally you don't want the CPI to be too high, but you don't want to be too low neither, because if the inflation is high, that means if within a range, right, within the healthy range, inflation is high. That means we got a lot of money to invest into these financial markets, crypto space, or other things, housing market, stock market, right? But if it is too high, that comes to a point where we are right now. That means the Fed has to do something against it. Fed has to stop it, and the only way to stop it is to increase the interest rate, which means that people won't be able to finance a lot of money, or people are actually bankrupting because they can't afford the loan that they committed to. So that is extremely bad for the financial or housing or anything, just in general, market. Yeah. And that is a very, very bad sign for the whole market. I think we can now finally confirm, a few months ago we were talking about, are we in a mini bear or a small bear or mini bull or bear trap, whatever. But right now, I think it is safe, very safe to say we are in a bear market. And there's another thing I would like to point out, which is MicroStrategy, which is in deep water right now, and they would be in a lot of more troubles if the Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency goes even lower, because we all know they hold a lot of Bitcoins, a lot of them. And have a look at this MicroStrategy Incorporated stock value, which is MSTR and NASDAQ. The price as the time of the recording, well, I suppose it's not going to open on the weekends anyway, it's around 171 USD, which is 63% down for the past month. That is a lot.
Yeah.
So starting with amount, starting with amount, we're around 500. Now we are 171 USD, which for me, I think that means investors are losing faith into Michael Saylor, which is the CEO of the company, and they are pulling the money out. And if that keeps happening, what I'm worrying about, it may not happen, right? But what I'm worried about is when more and more people asking to get their refund, Michael Saylor will have to give back the money from the company asset, but they don't have a lot of cash because a lot of cash are invested in Bitcoin, as we all know. I think they have around 130,000 Bitcoins last time I checked.
Okay.
Which is a lot of money.
Yeah, that is.
So if he has to sell, if not all, some of the Bitcoin, because it's a public traded company, people are going to know about the news, and that, I'm afraid, will cause a deeper fear into the things, into the crypto space, and then we will see a bigger loss on the Bitcoin. Or if the Bitcoin keeps tanking, Michael Saylor's, I think he has previously said his break-even point or the liquidation point is around $21,000 if the Bitcoin goes below that. So if the Bitcoin goes below that, that means he will have to liquidate all his Bitcoins. And I would not be surprised. So if that happens, I would not be surprised. And again, I'm not saying it is going to happen, but I'm afraid we won't. Me personally, I wouldn't be surprised to see Bitcoin in the range of $10,000 to $20,000, and that is a huge pullback from where we are right now. For the past few years, we kept building, but not only that, we didn't see the $300,000 Bitcoin, but we can't even see 30,000 anymore. Actually, if we think about it, Michael Saylor's average Bitcoin price is around the price now. So I think there's an article said the average price point for Michael Saylor's Bitcoin is around 30,700 per coin. Yeah. And as the time of recording, the Bitcoin is around $30,400.
So does that mean that in terms of his strategy, it may have been more optimal if he would have bought, say, Bitcoin at a much earlier point when it was much lower, or maybe not have bought, like, DCA'd up when it got to close to its all-time highs? I know that's hard to say because if you're dollar cost averaging in, you're going to have to do it on the way up and on the way down, and that would form part of your strategy. But it just seems like, I know he's a massive Bitcoin maxi and he's been invested in Bitcoin for a long time, but for the average price to be essentially what the price of Bitcoin is now, it seems if he's subject to a potential coordinated attack, it seems quite potentially easy for MicroStrategy to get brought down.
Yep, I agree. And I think, well, I would not. He's a very smart man, and I think after so long, so much time being a CEO of the company, he knows what he's doing. But at least he did not invest all his money into Luna, which is, I have lost so much money in Luna this week. Can we talk about Luna next one?
Well,
Like, we're
yeah, we
talking
can
about
talk
Luna,
about
right?
Luna because that will link in nicely because I know you said Michael Saylor's a smart man, but we also said the same thing about Do Kwon as well, the founder of Terra Luna. So um, yeah, I know basically the word on the in the space is that it seems pretty likely that Terra Luna was subject to a coordinated attack on both Luna and UST, which is a algorithmically pegged stable coin, which was backed up by Bitcoin. So, I mean, Channing, you can obviously you've got bags invested in this, so you can take it away from here, really.
Well, so first thing first, I think we all know how UST and Luna works. So the whole ecosystem is based on the assumption of UST is pegged to US dollar, which means that every $1 UST is always equal to one USD. And if that fails, because they don't have a lot of money, actually they don't have any money to back it up, not like the USDT or USDC or BUSD, which is Binance USD. So it is algorithm coin. So if the money goes below $1 or up $1, people, the first gate, the first firewall is that people can start using, people can start doing arbitrage farmings, buying UST or selling UST to buy Luna to make the profit. And that's the first gate. But people are saying, okay, it might be a Ponzi scheme. It is not working because of the Anchor protocol. But what happens? And then they have come up with the second plan, which means that if that doesn't work out, we have a plan B, which is Bitcoin pegged to UST. So in an event under attack, you can buy Bitcoin in a large amount of the discount, so which we have covered in the previous few episodes already. So if you haven't looked at those, you're more than welcome to have a look at those to see how to see in detail how they works. But so that's the two barriers that people can attack them, which is pretty safe already. And not only that, they have a third gate, which is very, very secure. They have a 3 pool, but now they're moving into the 4 pool on the DeFi of the Curve Finance, which is a DeFi platform. The 4 pool means there's 4 kinds of stablecoin, which is DAI, USDT, USDC, and UST. So basically, it's impossible for people to attack it unless Luna Foundation Guard, which is a company that runs the Luna, they move the liquidity away from the 3 pool because the 4 pool was not ready yet, and the Bitcoin peg was not ready neither. And guess what happened? We don't have any credibility to say who was behind the whole thing, but I certainly believe that it is attacked by one big, or if not multiple, big whales, because it does not look like a retailer thing to me at all, because to attack them, you need at least $3 billion to do the attack, because Do Kwon has publicly said that he has about 3 billions worth of the Bitcoin.
Yeah, because didn't like basically what it seemed like is that the attackers took out like 100,000 Bitcoin, didn't they? Well, this is what was alleged. They borrowed like 100,000 Bitcoin, and yeah, to initiate the attack, which was crazy. Um, and like you said, just by draining the pool free or free pool funds, um, yeah, it just triggered a chain reaction, because obviously when these attackers or attacker, whoever it may be, um, initiated it, that caused Luna to react by trying to sell some Bitcoin to stem the flow of the tide. But by then, that kind of left themselves open to getting getting wrecked essentially, because then those attackers then switched up their approach, and then started dumping UST, and that caused everyone to panic and literally depeg UST. And if they wanted to, I mean, I'm no expert in like leverage trading or anything like that, but if they wanted to, they could have even opened up positions to short certain like UST and maybe Bitcoin.
Oh, they definitely did. They most definitely did.
Yeah, and then that means that they would have absolutely made. Well, it's reported that they potentially made like £1 billion after selling things at a loss and so on and so forth. So for them it's a small hit to take, but it's interesting because there's loads of conspiracy theories which I'm not going to go into, because we don't entertain conspiracy theories. We just try to talk in as many factors as possible. But I wouldn't be surprised if this incident is used as a way for the governments to enforce some form of controls over the crypto space by saying that it's unstable and dangerous and so on and so forth. But it's just a shame that somebody has come out to attack Luna, and as a byproduct of that, they've wrecked not just Luna but people that had bags in Luna. And whether you were smart and diversified in your investments, people still would have lost money, and yeah, it's never nice when people lose tons of money, whether they were wise and didn't overinvest or unwise and overinvested. I know this is the risks that we take, but sometimes we have to be compassionate to other people's circumstances, because some people may find themselves in, or have found themselves in, a real tricky bind, and then they may have believed in terror and been like, oh, I'm gonna take this massive risk which they wouldn't normally otherwise do, and then end up getting wrecked. And there may very well be loads of people that have been left with the fact that they've lost their houses and families and jobs and so on and so forth. So that's why it's always careful. And we always preach to be careful and to take profits, because nobody saw this coming. No one saw this coming, and the ripple effects are far-reaching. It's like for lack of a better word, a perfect storm with everything that's going on in the real world, with like
it is a perfect storm. Yeah,
inflation, the war, unfortunately, the pandemic as well, and then this like crypto stuff that's come on. It's crazy times. And that's why a lot of people say to be successful in crypto, you have to survive. You have to not get wrecked. to be able to actually make it. So
Exactly.
uh,
This
so
is exactly a survival game. It doesn't matter how much money, how much gains you got overnight. The end of the day, 95% of the projects or 99% of the projects that happen in a bull run, they're going to going to zero. Probably not as fast as Luna, that what happened for the last whole week, but a lot of projects that we're seeing today are going to zero. So always be super, super careful about what you are investing in, and it's just so important.
and on the flip side to that, although we're in a bear market and things are looking bad, it's in these moments, maybe not immediately now, but in the future, in these kind of market cycles where money, like good money, can actually be made. So it's not all doom and gloom. And for anyone out there that has lost some bags, you just got to try and keep as positive as you possibly can and try to live to fight another day, because it's not always going to be bad. And when we see these crazy all-time highs start rocking up again, that's what you're then going to start seeing people turning the corner and just hopefully taking a step closer towards that financial freedom that they looking for.
Yep, yeah, exactly. But circling back to the thing, to the Luna Punk thing, to the Luna UST thing. So evidence shows that under 10 minutes, that Luna Foundation, coming back a little bit further, right? Do Kwon himself is a genius. That's without a doubt. Not everyone can be founding a Terra Luna Forum lab or doing a UST or an algorithm stablecoin, and then to be on the top 10 of the market cap of the all the cryptocurrencies we have today.
Yeah.
So it's definitely sure that he's a smart guy, but also he has personally spoken so much about the weakness of Luna. Just to be fair, like he has probably mentioned so many times that he is going to buy Bitcoin to because I think about 2 months ago we happened the magic internet money, which is MIM, the ticker, that the death, some sort of the death spiral happened that day or that period of time, where Luna went down to where USD went down to $0.97, which was already very, very dangerous already. But then it survived. And then that's when Do Kwon realized that, okay, we need to buy Bitcoin. But he could have bought Bitcoin and packed it by himself. But instead of doing that, he's announcing the news to the whole world that we're going to buy Bitcoins so that UST is going to be stable. But as far as we know today, that has not been implemented. Otherwise, we probably wouldn't see where we are now. So basically, he's sending out the message, as long as the Bitcoin peg is not finished with the UST is vulnerable. And then within 10 minutes, he drained the liquidity from the 3 pool, the attack happened. So basically what happened was they have shorted the Bitcoin, and then they have borrowed this UST, or they have the UST accumulated from the last few weeks or few months, whatever. And they dumped the UST on the open market, on the DeFi pool. So if we look at I don't even have to go to the price charts now because it's so bad, it's heartbreaking. But the price went down to 0.98 cents on the UST. And because there was so much money are locked in the Anchor protocol, which is a DeFi protocol of the Luna, a few days before the attack happened, guess how much money got held in the Anchor protocol? It has $6 billion locked in UST. That's how much money it has.
Eek.
And when things happen, people realize, okay, there might, because these shorters, these people who short UST, they know that they are going to spread out the FUD, right? Fear, uncertainty, and the negative news about Luna. They're saying, okay, death spiral is happening. So people started, losing faith in UST, and then they, instead of waiting the UST to come back to $1, they started selling, undercutting themselves, selling at 0.98. When they find out they can't sell at 0.98, they start selling at 0.97, and it goes on and goes on, and people start selling at 0.6, 0.7, and right now the price is 0.1. But have a look at how much money was lost, like in the anchor. Right now there's still $270 million in the UST, which is about 1/30 of what we had on the 4th of May, the Star Wars Day. Wow. So that's a lot of money, and it started to call, that's what we call a bank run, which means that if everybody started to withdraw money from the bank, the bank will went out of money and it liquidate essentially. So that's why it's called bank run. So everybody started to withdraw their money from UST, but because UST and Luna was, there was a huge arbitrage opportunity, and then people started to arbitraging, and then so much Luna has been printed out because of the mechanism that they had, which was designed to stop this from happening, but it went the opposite way, which is called, that's why it's called death spiral. So people start selling UST with the discount, and a lot of people are as the UST value goes down, people can make more arbitrage earnings, profits. So they started to burn the USD and burn a lot of create a lot of Luna. They minted loads of Luna. The Luna supply went skyrocketed for the last few days, which means people are selling Luna. That's why it's called a death spiral. So Luna's spiraling down and UST is going down as well. And as far as we're concerned, there is no way back for this coin, because first of all, we need to get UST back to $1 peg. But even right now, we don't see any chance or any opportunities for the Luna UST to get back to $1.
Yeah.
But even if we do get it back to $1, I don't think people are confident investing in Luna anymore. So I think we can safely say that the whole new thing of the UST, of the new algorithm stablecoin is gone. I think we're safe to announce that.
Yeah.
Which is very, very sad.
Yeah, I think they gave it the best kind of shot, and it was an alternative approach to pegging stablecoins with actual like fiat currency. And it doesn't mean to say that the approach or the theory behind it was bad, because if somebody is able to learn from these lessons and then improve upon them, create an actual like non-fiat pegged stable coin, then that can only be good for the space. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. But before we move on to the more learning experiences that have happened related to the NFT space, just a quick one about Coinbase, because Coinbase actually sent out a warning saying basically that users will have their assets forfeited if the Coinbase starts a bankruptcy proceeding. So obviously the last few days that we've had in the space has been really topsy-turvy, and for someone like Coinbase to say, well, basically, if we have to file for bankruptcy, then you're gonna you're going to lose possession of all your coins. That's a scary thing. So, like you mentioned, it's all kind of linked, and if well, we're lucky at this moment in time that the whole market hasn't been kind of brought down. Whereas I didn't think that would be possible, but I suppose as it goes, anything is possible. Well, that's what it seems like anyway.
Exactly. And then just because Luna and UST were the top 10 coins as market cap, we can imagine who were holding them, right? We can imagine a lot of the centralized platforms, centralized exchanges. They are the ones who hold them. Big companies, big organizations, they held UST or Luna. So that means even though we didn't see the free fall happening from the UST, the whole crypto market, which I was really getting worried about it, because I worried about if Luna goes down so much, the centralized exchanges or all these people with big bags, they get burned or they get bankrupt, because we all know the big companies, they don't use cash to buy assets. They use debt to buy assets. So which means everyone was facing the liquidation crisis, and that can be what happened in 2008. The Lehman Brothers, when they're bankrupt, the whole financial or the whole world was in crisis. So that was really, really, scaring the shit out of me at that time. But luckily, I think we're not 100% out of the woods yet, that's for sure. But at least there's a stoppage, and it's not like we're going free fall from where we are now. And adding to a point, like we're in the Web3 now, we're in the innovative space. We need something that is not traditional finance space, which is, so-called backed by USD, the Tether USDT, which we don't know if it's true or not. But we need something new. We can't be living in this world for forever, right?
Yeah.
And we expect to have bumpy road when we are innovating or when we are trying new things. So I still like the whole idea of the UST. It's just unfortunate that Do Kwon has personally exploited the weakness of the whole UST. And then, by the way, I think it's almost impossible to attack a whole blockchain in many cases, such as Bitcoin or Ethereum or any POW or POS. Doesn't matter where you are, it's just impossible to attack them. But Luna, you can. And then Do Kwon has selfly expressed the weakness of Luna by himself. So that's very unfortunate.
Just to quickly jump in there, Channing, POW is proof of work and POS is proof of stake. And that's two different ways in which the blockchain can operate. But you'll be able to do further research, listeners, to find out the differences between them, because we are running out of time and we have to move on to which is like the biggest news in NFT land, which was the whole Azuki learning experience, courtesy of their founder, Zagabond. So, for anyone that's been living under a rock, Zagabond was the founder of Azuki, or is the founder of Azuki. I don't know if he stepped down or anything like that, but it was revealed that he was part of a free project prior to Azuki that people basically are saying he is essentially rugged. He held a Twitter Spaces with somebody called Andrew Wang, and in that Twitter Spaces, Zagabond was given the platform to apologize for what had happened, but not only was there no "I'm sorry," forthcoming, it also gave me an insight into the mentality of him, and I can understand why he didn't apologize. Not saying I agree with him not apologizing, but from what he said in the spaces, in his mind, he had delivered some projects, fulfilled the roadmap. Therefore, um, he had done everything that he had said to the community he was going to do. And from his standpoint, I'm imagining that because he's ticked all the boxes, therefore there should be nothing to apologize for. Whereas in my opinion, and this is only my opinion, um, although you create something like an NFT project, an NFT project is based around community. So by virtue of the fact you create a community. So if, in my opinion, you feel as though you've ticked all the boxes and you've been super open and transparent about the roadmap, i.e., saying, "Oh, hey guys, this is an experiment, and I'm gonna do a collection of X amount of NFTs, and at the end of it, there's going to be a raffle for another NFT, and then job done. Do you want to buy into it?" That obviously didn't happen. So there was some details that were left out, because if anyone was told that, no one would jump into it. I know there's degens around and so on and so forth, but this is completely different. And if you make a community and you feel as though you've done everything you need to do, then for me, rather than just ghosting the community, you can say, right, my work here is done, and find somebody, be it a community member, the community themselves, or somebody external to the community who would like to take it on. But yeah, I don't know what your thoughts are on the whole Azuki
Yeah,
learning
of course.
experience.
Well, before we move on, do you mind explaining what is a rug pull?
Yeah, so okay, so I suppose the best definition of a rug pull would be when the money associated to the project is taken from that project. So one of them was like Zonks. So it's like the money that was in there was taken out, so then there's nothing left for the project to work with. And also a slow rug is when somebody basically makes these kind of promises or has a roadmap of some sorts, but there's no real intention of fulfilling the roadmap, and then the project slowly loses momentum, steam, and dies out because there's no intention to kind of build for the future.
Oh, so actually, Zagabond did a textbook rug pull, or 3 textbook rug pulls. So he basically ticked all the boxes of the what you think is the rug pull.
Yeah,
Isn't that right?
in essence, I mean, he tried to defend himself. I mean, people can listen to the spaces themselves and make up their own opinion. But for me, it's like, if you're acting in the best interests of the people that you're basically taking their money from, then you would do things in a better way. There's quite a bit of evidence floating around on social media that people can kind of do their own research and find.
Yep.
But I'm just offering my opinion on the whole situation. And to be honest, it was crazy, because the floor price of Azuki
Azuki.
was declining anyway, slightly, only slightly, like from its all-time highs, which most projects were experiencing anyway. But then when this news came out about the previous projects that were basically rugged, the price of Azuki like dropped. It held firm for a little bit, because I think a lot of people were waiting for the spaces to take place, and at that
Yep.
point it was still floating around like between the 15 to
18 is
20 ETH
yeah.
range. Yeah, it was floating between that range. This was before the spaces, and then during the spaces and after, it dipped below 10 ETH. I
Yep.
know it's bounced up a little bit now. It's probably around about 14 ETH. Um, but the motivation behind the coming out or revelation of the free rug projects or failed projects, however whatever side of the fence you sit on, was because Zagabond and other people were harassed by, I suppose, those that knew his identity or how to find him or locate him, and essentially harassed him into revealing these details. So, I mean,
Oh yeah, that's bad too. That's bad too. Like we suppose, you know, you'd be surprised that people don't do their own research before they jump into one project. But then once they find out they start losing money, they really do their due diligence finding out who's behind the project when they losing money, and then they send out death threats, which is, I think, is super bad. It's unethical. You know, you're supposed to do your due diligence before you invest in, not after you invest in. And then you should always know your risks, you know, unless you're like me and then aped in a lot of Luna coins and got burned so badly over the week.
well, well, this brings up a wider question, because the fact is that Zagabond used three different identities and three different wallets. He was even accused of assuming the identity of like a female for one of the projects. So if you're using three different identities and three different wallets, then no one can research or foresee what happened with Azuki. And the threat and harassment came from one of the people that actually worked on well, allegedly worked on a project, one of the failed stroke rugged projects with Zagabond. So this is where it came from. I don't think it was from an actual like community member per se, although that may have changed because obviously loads of people have been affected by this. But once again, I just don't think it sends a good message overall with regards to the intentions of Zagabond. Because one, if you was going to come out with this, okay, put it this way: if you weren't going to do something dodgy, you wouldn't use three different identities and three different wallets. Like you would build something, it fails, it moves on. Like if you're the CEO of a major corporation, I don't know, say like Nike, and Adidas and that, you build something, your trainer might fail, you build another one. You don't go, oh yeah, I'm Mr. I don't know, Flower Pot, and then that fails, and then go, oh, I'm Mrs. Sunshine, and then that fails, and then goes, oh yeah, I'm Mr. Nike, and then build something big. You are who you are, and that is what gives you the credibility. The fact that you try something, and it's how you react to a situation when it goes bad. That's when, for me, you see the true value of a person.
Yeah,
It's
I agree.
everyone's great when things are going well, but how do you react? How do you lead when things are going bad? Because when things are good, leading's easy. Leading's easy. It takes care of itself. But that's not what people are paid for, and that's not what people are giving their money for, to you for. It's to lead them and steer the ship in times of trouble. And like I said, so he done all that, three different identities, three different wallets, and then he opened up the interview with, I've only got 30 minutes. So it's like, you're the head of a massive multi-million pound NFT project, company, brand, whatever you want to call it, and you've said, I've only got 30 minutes, or I'm short on time, I haven't got long. It's like, well, how much do you care about clearing your name or righting the wrongs of what you've done? So that I didn't like. The fact that there was like no apology either. Not even like, oh, I'm sorry, oh, I messed up, blah blah blah. It was just based around, oh, I was learning. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I built these communities, I built
but
these projects, I was learning. But your learning came at the expense of other people's livelihoods potentially or money, which so why should people fund your learning?
exactly, exactly. That's super bad. And another thing I want to point out is like we can always see all these people or degens as we call them speculating things. For instance, Zunks is one of the projects that was funded by Azuki's founder, Zagabond. And when the news came out, this is that project, right? The floor price is about 0.01 ETH before the news came out. And then you only had like 1 or 2 trades per day, which is that, right? But
Mm,
after the news came out, look at the trades, number of trades. I think they got like a few hundreds or thousand trades for the last few days. And then people were actually buying the rare ones around zero point 0.8 ethers,
hmm
which is crazy because we have told everyone this is a rock project, but then they feel like, okay, this project's, people are talking about this project. Maybe we can speculate on it and make some money out of it.
mm,
So that is the typical, or not typical, but that's not rare. This stuff is not rare. So people are speculating all the time.
mm,
And so what I want people to say is, I've cried in the show. I actually do have a lot of money. I did, not anymore, right? Because Luna is zero now. But I did have a lot of money in the Luna, and I really believed the project. But lucky enough, that wasn't my life savings, or that wasn't my hold back, because I will spread it out, and I did take some profit. So for me, for my instance, I did not lose any money I invested in, because I took so much profit when it was
mm.
above $100. But I still, all the money I thought I was making was gone. So, which is actually devastating.
Yeah.
And another thing before we end the show is when we talk about NFTs, we're mostly talking about the NFTs on Ethereum, but apparently there are so many chains, layer ones, that they can build NFTs on. But just be careful which one you're choosing, because as far as I know, Ethereum is the only decentralized, or to the maximum decentralized smart contract layer one platform, which means that it's safer to buy NFTs on it. Other NFTs such as the Luna Punks that I actually had, I still have a few in my wallet, which doesn't mean anything now. But when the peaks, they worth around 10,000 USD each,
Mm,
and I was lucky to sold one of them before the Luna crash, like the last month, which was at the peak. So that's why my expenses are covered. But I still have a few, and I
yeah.
thought I was going to the moon. I thought I was going to be the next CryptoPunk or BAYC. Who knows?
Mm,
But right now, the layer one or the foundation is gone. The NFTs, they are basically worthless now.
yeah. And
So, yep.
and
Go
and
on.
and just to answer, like, ask a more philosophical kind of question, because this is what it's about. And if you look at, say, what's happened with Luna, and you look at what's happened with the other projects like Azuki and Zunks and stuff like that, or those ones that Zagabond rugged, um, the difference is there's accountability. Like Do Kwon has stood up, he's trying to solve things, everyone knows who he is, he's trying to lead the project in an open and transparent way, maybe too transparent, people might argue, and 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 that's what the question has been posed for NFT projects. You know, can we have these faceless leaders anymore, who go by pseudonyms and may be able to change said pseudonym, so on and so forth? And that's the wider ranging question for the space as a whole, because Like what's happened with Luna, it hurts the space, and like what's happened with Zagabond, it hurts the space, not just the projects associated to it, i.e. Azuki, Zunks, so on and so forth, but the space as a whole. And everybody in the space has a duty of care to look after it, because if we're all gonna make it, then we all have a part to play in the preservation of the space, and it shouldn't come, making it, in my opinion, shouldn't come at the expense of one being a nice person and the expense of everybody else in the space other than yourself, because we got to stick together.
Definitely, I agree. Yep. And that leads to the last part of the show, which is we have a secret password of the show that we are going to send out a invitation link to the next view, which is the Nifty Nuggets Discord server. And the password, the question of the week, this week is actually harder. So Zagabond has rocked 3 NFT projects in the past. What are these projects? If you think you know, leave a comment below, and we will find a lucky random winner who has subscribed to the channel, who has liked the channel, and who has got the answer right. Back to you, CryptoViz.
Yeah, so good luck with that, folks. And we'll also be drawing out the winners for the last week's competition. So those of you that answered correctly, the answer was Coda. That was the name of the avatar on the Other Deeds land. So we'll be doing that draw and welcoming some new members into the community. But without further ado, I think that brings this week's show to an end. So Channing, I hope you don't have to hand in an application form for McDonald's and start flipping some burgers.
Oh well, why not? It's might as well be a good experience, right? There's all these things. We got to experience the beers and we got to experience the bull market. So without one of those, it's not complete.
Yeah, and also I suppose it gives you an opportunity to raise some extra funds so that you can buy the dip, So 'cause that's what I'm doing. I'm working extra hard now in real life just so that I can accumulate more funds, so that I can be in a better position to pull the trigger on some entries that I'm looking to make. So like I said before,
You're talking about the ketchup dip or the crypto dip?
both. All right then, Channing. Well, look, once again, it's been great chatting to you, and hearing you drop some knowledge. And sorry about your bags as well in Luna, but like you said, you took your own advice, you took profits, and it wasn't the end of the world for you. The money that you did make or have, although it did dwindle, it hasn't gone to zero, and you're still surviving, just like myself and quite a few of the other Nuggets as well. So thanks for joining me this week. Before we go, just got to remind you, as always, make sure you hit the bell notification so you know when the next episode drops. Smash the like button if you like what you heard, and if you have something else you want to add, leave a comment below, because we love to get feedback and the views of yourselves. And make sure you get us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave that 5-star review, because it helps boost this project up and get more people listening to it, so we can inform, educate more people and get you to become or grow the family of the Nuggets. And follow us on Twitter at NuggetsNifty. Yeah, really enjoyed it. And I'll let you say goodbye, and then I'll say goodbye.
Okay. Thank you very much. The honor is completely mine. And stay crispy, guys. When there's blood on the street, there's money to be made.
100%. So take care, folks. And as Shannon said, Stay crispy.
Bye bye.